see you.
He's from Minnesota. All Minnesotans know Japanese as a second language.
Listen up, wrestling fans.
That's right. Listen up. My name is Tommy Stryker, and this is Strong Honor, a New Japan and Ring of Honor podcast. And usually I am joined by my buddies Joe and Taco to talk a little New Japan and Ring of Honor. But this week, they are not here recording because it's the 4th of July here in the United States. We are celebrating Independence Day, and so I gave those guys the week off. We're not doing our other podcast, the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. We're not going to do that this week. We're just going to do a solo Strong Honor with yours truly. And, it's just going to be me. And there's a lot to talk about, so we're going to get right into it pretty much here. But so if there's some awkward pauses along the way where I'm stopping to take a drink of water or whatever, just to so you know that's why. It's just because it's just me today. So that's going to happen from time to time. So we got a lot to get into today. We got to preview the big show coming up this weekend, July 7th, the G1 special in San Francisco from the Cow Palace. Another New Japan show exclusively out there on the West Coast. They seem to be sticking to the West Coast. There's now rumors that there might be another West Coast show in in September, but nothing confirmed yet. It was just Will Ospreay talking out of turn on Twitter, I guess, and that has been deleted since he tweeted that. But nevertheless, a big New Japan show coming up this weekend. I'm going to hit that up first, so don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about that right away. But of course, also going to talk about the big weekend from Ring of Honor. Best in the World happened. The TV tapings where big news happened. I am going to talk about what happened. At least one big spoiler from the TV tapings that I think if you follow Ring of Honor pretty regularly, you probably have already seen or heard the spoiler. But just so you know, once I do start talking Ring of Honor, I am going to start talking about that spoiler. Speaking of that spoiler, there's lots of controversy surrounding not only Ring of Honor and but also New Japan and Kenny Omega. The CEO show had a little bit of controversy on that. We'll get into that as well as the Strong Style Evolved UK shows. Going to talk about all of that. Ring of Honor TV being the elite. All of it. It's Wednesday, and I finally got caught up on all of this stuff today. Even if I wanted to do a podcast talking about WWE stuff this week, I can't because I'm behind on all of that. I haven't seen SmackDown. I've seen bits of Raw, but I've been getting caught up on all of this stuff. It's been an insane weekend with way too much of this other stuff, but it's all been good stuff. So, or at least decent stuff anyway. But like I said, let's start with what most of you are here for. By the way, thanks for checking out the show. If you're new to the show, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get podcasts. Help spread the word about the show on sites like Reddit and Twitter at Strong Honor on Twitter, of course, and I'm at Tommy Stryker. Facebook.com/Strong Honor Podcast. And help spread the word about this show that I'm very passionate about doing, this New Japan and Ring of Honor podcast for. So, with that being said, let's jump right into the Strong Style the G1 special in San Francisco from the Cow Palace. Now, sounds like they're still not sold out. They're probably not even close to sold out yet, which is it's interesting because with the attention, a lot of traveling wrestling fans' attention going towards things like All In this year. A lot of people traveled to WrestleMania weekend. New Japan did a show earlier this year. Are they kind of hitting a ceiling, New Japan, for being able to draw fans? Or is it a question of, are they oversaturating one market, that West Coast LA market? Will they do better if they do something in Chicago? Or will they do better if they do something on the East Coast in New York? It sounded like they were going to be able to do something possibly with Ring of Honor at Madison Square Garden. Now that's out of the question with WWE kind of forcing Madison Square Garden's hand by saying, basically strong arming, strong arming. Yeah, that's the word. Strong arming Madison Square Garden into not doing the Ring of Honor and New Japan show. So, but yeah, it's an interesting question because why do they keep running the West Coast and now they're not able to sell out this big building? Whereas maybe if they'd have done this building instead of the Walter Pyramid last time, maybe you sell that out 10,000 strong, 12,000 strong, whatever the Cow Palace is, who knows. But this one not quite sold out from what I've heard at the time of this recording. So
Predictions.
all right, let's get right into the preview and some predictions for the G1 special in San Francisco. We're going to open up with a 10-man tag show, and Rocky Romero, Gato, and Yoshihashi, Team Chaos, taking on Team Bullet Club, Chase Owens, Yujiro Takahashi, the Gorillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, and King Haku, their dad, the father of the Gorillas of Destiny, Haku, yes, is going to be on this card. They're not really previewing anything upcoming here. Nothing for the show and really coming out of this. The Gorillas of Destiny, there's no heavyweight tag on the other side, really, so it's really all about King Haku, I guess, on this card. So he'll probably pin Gato or, God forbid, Yoshihashi or something like that, on this somewhat uninteresting opening match for the G1 special. Then it's Toru Yano and Tomohiro Ishii taking on Minoru Suzuki and Zack Sabre Jr., who retained their undisputed British Tag Team Championships from the Rev Pro / New Japan shows over the last weekend. This is a bit of a rematch in that it was Ishii and Okada in the UK, and here he's back with his other tag team partner from Chaos, Toru Yano, in this matchup. I'm thinking Suzuki and Sabre probably coming out with a win here, although you never know with the antics of Toru Yano. Maybe Ishii gets some comeuppance against Minoru Suzuki again, or perhaps against Zack Sabre, but they're really pushing Zack Sabre hard here going into the G1, so it'd be interesting to see what they do in that one, although it's probably just going to be some Yano crap again. The third match, Kushida teaming up with Hiroshi Tanahashi, taking on Marty Scurll and Hangman Page. A little bit of interesting stuff here in that Tanahashi and Page are in the same block in the G1. And then the Kushida-Marty Scurll side of things on the junior heavyweight side is kind of interesting here. I'm going to predict Hangman Page getting a victory here over Kushida, which would be very interesting. Although getting one over Tanahashi too would be super interesting. Although it's a lot of times they go with the most obvious thing, and I could totally see Tanahashi getting the win over Marty Scurll as well. So anybody's game here, I guess. But I'm going to predict Hangman Page with some momentum going into the G1 there. The fourth match is for the Never Openweight Championship. Hirooki Goto defending his title against Jeff Cobb.
Jeff Cobb is one powerful motherfucker!
Looking forward to this one. I think this one should be pretty good. Jeff Cobb looked pretty darn good in his match with Chase Owens from the CEO ex-NJPW show from over the weekend. Had a good match with Chase Owens there. I actually really enjoyed that one. So I'm looking forward to this one. I think Goto will end up retaining here. Clean finish should be a good, clean, hard-fought, hard-hitting match here with a couple of hosses here. Jeff Cobb is going to show off his strength and throw Goto around quite a bit, I imagine. Goto's best matches of late have been ones where people basically just beat up Goto and beat up Goto and beat up Goto, and then Goto pulls out the win at the end. So I expect this to kind of be a big showcase for Jeff Cobb. Too bad Jeff Cobb's not going to be in the G1 Climax this year.
G1 Climax.
So yeah, no Jeff Cobb. I wonder if he'll be on that tour though, working the undercard tag matches. Probably not, but who knows? I don't know what his schedule is, but it'd be interesting to see. Then the IWGP Tag Team rematch for the championship. The Bucks defending their title against Evil and Sonata, the team they just won the championship from. Their first ever IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championship for the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson. I'm assuming that they're going to retain them again here. If it goes back to Evil and Sonata, that just feels like hot potatoing the championships back and forth. Doesn't really feel like it paints the thing in in that good of a light. But then again, Evil and Sonata have been doing they're good. But their championship reign wasn't exactly full of a bunch of defenses that were really good and stuff like that. So I could see, but I definitely see them having a good match here. The last match at Dominion was also a good match. But I mean, this is third or fourth from the top. So I expect a good match, but nothing great here. And the Bucks to retain here. Then a special tag match here, the sixth match, Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada, again, Chaos teammates taking on Naito and Bushi. So we're continuing to build up this thing between Okada and Naito, as well as a little bit of junior division stuff between Bushi and Ospreay, but I'm sure it's just one of those two in there to take the fall, although you never know when a big heavyweight could take a fall as well. Okada is kind of on the sad Okada tour right now. It'll be really interesting to see what Okada's demeanor is in this match. He just took obviously I'm going to talk about the Strong Style Evolved UK shows here in a minute, but he just lost there to Zack Sabre Jr. in a singles match. He came out, he had his mojo back, he was doing the Rainmaker pose, the fans were into Okada, huge, he was over huge in the UK, despite Zack Sabre being hugely over there as well. But taking the loss there, I wonder if he'll be sad Okada again in this match, and maybe Naito picks up a key victory in a tag match, or does Kazuchika get a little bit of his mojo back by pinning either Naito or Bushi here. Certainly Will Ospreay looking to get some momentum back after losing the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship to Hiromu, so maybe he gets the victory over Bushi or something like that. But I'm going to predict Okada over Bushi here. Give Okada a little bit of momentum going back into the G1 here. Another possible interesting story out of this match is that Okada and Naito are in opposite blocks of the G1, so this could be a quasi-preview for a potential G1 finals if Naito and Okada go on to win their blocks. So there is that. Then the third from the top, Hiromu Takahashi defends his newly won IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship against Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee has the victory over Hiromu in the Best of the Super Juniors, and plus these two have had the feud that goes all the way back to when Takahashi was on his excursion in CMLL. They've taken this feud all over the world, CMLL, Ring of Honor, and of course here in New Japan. So this time they're bringing it to the United States in a New Japan ring. Should be a damn good match for the championship. I predict Hiromu retains here, just winning that championship, and Dragon Lee being a part-timer. Then we've got the semi-main. It's kind of interesting that they put this one semi-main and not the Hiromu Takahashi and Dragon Lee match, but Jay White versus Juice Robinson for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. This is a tough spot for these two coming after Hiromu and Dragon Lee after the Young Bucks match. I mean, Jay White was in a tough spot last time with Hangman Page at the last New Japan show in Long Beach at the Walter Pyramid. So this is a really big test for both Jay White and Juice Robinson. How do they do in this kind of death spot between that junior heavyweight match and the big main event with Kenny Omega and Cody? Boy, I really like what Juice Robinson's done building up to this match. He's done a really great job in the promos, and they've really been pushing Jay White hard, but I just want to see Juice Robinson win that championship and bring that U.S. title back to the United States. I think that'd be a fun story, and Juice running around with that championship during the G1, I think would make for some interesting stories in the G1, but I think it's more likely that Jay White retains here, so I'm going to predict Jay White keeping the U.S. title. It doesn't really make sense for Juice to win the championship. He is in that loaded B block with, Naito and Omega and Kota Ibushi and Zack Sabre. Goto is in there. Ishii is in that B block. So if Juice wins that U.S. title here, he's going to end up taking probably a lot of losses in that loaded B block. So probably not going to win here. Whereas Jay White is in the less loaded A block. Yeah, you got Okada and Tanahashi and Elgin over there. Suzuki is is in the A block as well, but it's not quite as loaded as that B block. But Jay White could get some key upsets in the A block against guys like Okada, Tanahashi. Jay White's looking for some revenge on Tanahashi coming back from the Tokyo Dome, where the roles were reversed, where Tanahashi was the Intercontinental Champion. Jay White was making his big return from excursion. So Jay White looking for some revenge with the roles reversed, with now him being the champion and Tanahashi being the challenger without a belt, as well as Okada being a Chaos stablemate. That's the main event for night one of the A block, Okada versus Jay White. And so a lot of people predicting a big upset with Jay White winning over the former champion Okada there. So I definitely think Jay White's going to retain. It's almost a deadlock. Almost as much of a deadlock as this main event for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship of the World. Kenny Omega versus Cody. Again, this is the Bullet Club storyline that's been going on and on for a long time now, and this is the payoff. We had the thing at Super Card of Honor, these two against each other. The Young Bucks choose Kenny Omega, but kick Cody in the face, causing Cody to get the victory. We had the feel-good moment at Dominion where Kenny finally wins the IWGP Heavyweight Championship from Okada, finally defeating the undefeatable champion, finally getting that win. The storybook ending with him getting the win and reuniting with the Young Bucks, the thing that we've, as fans of the Elite, have wanted to see, the return, the reuniting of Omega and the Young Bucks. And this week on Being the Elite and on Cody's YouTube channel or his YouTube show called All Us, where they basically just talk about what's going on All In, kind of almost a little documentary type TV show. Cody cuts a couple of really good promos this week I want to talk about going into this match. On Being the Elite, and I'll talk a little bit more about Being the Elite a little bit later, but Cody basically interrupts the Young Bucks doing a skit about the Elite is drug free and that's the way to be, and he interrupts them. He's really pissed off, and it cuts a really nice promo on the Bucks and Omega here.
And there's this whole perception of me that I'm not a wrestler's wrestler, that I'm not a bell-to-bell guy. I think we've moved on from the ex-WWE thing or just Dusty's son, but hey, I've been doing this since I was 15. I put the referee stripes on at 15. I started getting paid professionally to do this at 19. My body of work exists for a reason. I endure. I last. And this is one of those moments where you can stand out and where you can last. And I can't think of a more fitting tribute to my career than being the guy who defeats Kenny Omega. I mean, he finally got it. No way does the IWGP title change hands. No way. But it does. It does because of me.
So yeah, interesting there. Cody kind of talking about talking to his fans, saying, "I can do this. This isn't an impossible task." But my prediction is that yes, it is an impossible task. This is the story that they're telling. It couldn't be more obvious to me that Kenny Omega retains here. He just won the damn thing. They're not putting the IWGP Heavyweight Championship on Cody Rhodes. It's just not happening. But I think it's going to be entertaining. I think it's going to be very good. We're talking about Kenny Omega here. The Super Card of Honor match was well reviewed. A lot of people liked it. And this is going to have a different vibe, being that it's New Japan and not Ring of Honor. So I don't expect to see the same skullduggery that we did at Super Card of Honor. I don't expect to see run-ins from the Young Bucks. I don't necessarily expect to see a lot of skullduggery from Bernard the Business Bear and Brandy, although I think they will all be there. And especially I think the Young Bucks being there are probably going to act as neutralizers for Brandy and Bernard, because it's finally the story of Kenny having the Young Bucks back at his side. So I think that'll be a story here as well. Okay. Let's talk about these Strong Style Evolved UK shows. These are basically Rev Pro shows put on in association with New Japan Pro Wrestling. They had a nice setup for this. They had it was still, the Rev Pro ring, but they had the black ropes and they had the new blue and white canvas similar to what New Japan has. So it was a nice setup. The production values for Rev Pro are still lacking, in my opinion. Below grade cameras. The audio isn't very good, but they did have Kevin Kelly doing commentary with one of their regular commentators for Rev Pro. They made a good team, I thought. Pretty good there. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he hears more of the Rev Pro guy. Maybe he comes in and does some of the G1 shows, because I don't expect Don Callis to be on the English commentary team for all of the live G1 Climax shows. But so maybe this guy flies in and does some stuff on that account. That's a possibility. So if you did not see these shows, I would just wait until they come out on New Japan World in probably a week or two. You can buy the streaming service, the Rev Pro Pivot Share, basically. If you can just Google Rev Pro Wrestling or Revolution Pro Wrestling and find their streaming service there. It's less than, it's like $8-9, something like that. So, I mean, it's worth it. But, I mean, you could just wait until they come out on NJPWWorld.com as well and watch them there. So, one of my favorite stories coming out of these shows is what happened night one. It was Shota Umino versus a mystery opponent. And here comes the mystery opponent. He has his face covered. He's coming out in somewhat of a traditional Japanese ancient garb kind of thing. I don't know how to explain it, but he's got his face covered. He's coming out. He's got this traditional Japanese music. He comes out. He pulls the mask off of his face, and who is it? It's the Dominator, the Great O-Khan, a.k.a. the former Tomoyuki Oka. So Oka, the young lion, officially on excursion now. He's going to start off in Rev Pro. Sounds like he's going to be there for 3 months and then possibly move to CMLL and maybe a stint in the States as well. But who knows how long the actual thing will last. But I did hear the announcer guy, who I believe is part of the management team over there for Rev Pro, talking about he was going to be there in the UK for 3 months. But yes, Oka, the Great O-Khan. I like it. I get it. I dig it. I dig the look. The gear fits Oka very much. What I don't dig so much is the absence of what Oka was as a young lion. He's turned heel now. So now, like, his signature offense is like a claw and a Mongolian chop. And he does this scream thing before he hits the Mongolian chop. So it's not very exciting offense. He's taking guys outside the ring and beating them up on the floor. He teased the handshake gimmick at the beginning of the match. And then, basically sneak attacking Shota once he finally did shake his hand. So I miss the old, like, judo throws and stuff like that, and the show of strength stuff from Tomoyuki Oka. But I think he's exploring his heel side and slowing things down and not showing as much fighting spirit and just working guys over. And so, of course, the Great O-Khan got the win here. And he's using a claw and like a second rope leaping Mongolian chop as a finisher. So not very exciting stuff, but it'll be interesting to see what the Great O-Khan does from now on going forward in Rev Pro and on the U.S. and Mexican indie scene, if that's where he ends up. Yujiro and Ishimori took on Aussie Open. That's Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher had a hell of a singles match on night 2 of this thing. Talk about that in a minute. But Ishimori and Yujiro got the win there. Then Tiger Mask defeated David Starr. It was originally advertised as an undisputed British Cruiserweight Championship match, but David Starr quickly said, no, this man has not earned a title shot. Of course, Tiger Mask being a legendary figure in New Japan and all over the world. Of course, he deserves a title shot, so that's how he gets heat. Pretty basic stuff here. So since it was non-title, Tiger Mask gets the win with the Crucifix Driver after taking a low blow from David Starr. So, yeah, like I said, David Starr works typical heel in the match. Again, nothing standing out here. Nothing like this wasn't like a great match. It was just basic heel babyface stuff, and Tiger Mask getting a win. That kind of played into what they did night 2 because they did a 4-way a title match for the Cruiserweight Championship on night 2. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Tai Chi, Iizuka, and El Desperado took on Gato, Toru Yano, and Jay White. Desperado pins Gato after some iron fingers and some skullduggery from the Suzuki Gun faction.
Skullduggery.
So typical stuff that you would expect there. Then we had a very good match here. Walter taking on Yuji Nagata. Walter getting the win here with 2 big lariats. A good late strike battle in the match here. Nagata shows his respect to Walter after the match, and Kevin Kelly on commentary really put this victory over big time. He says, let's see this in Japan. He sells the gravity of Walter defeating a former IWGP champion back in the day. So really putting over the idea that this was a big victory for Walter, and let's get this guy in Japan. So I don't know when he's coming, what he's coming for. Obviously, he's not in the G1, but hopefully I'd love to see Walter in some serious matches in New Japan. Maybe we get him. Maybe we get his tag team in there. Maybe we get I believe he teams with Timothy Thatcher. We could get Ring Kampf in there for the World Tag League at the end of the year. That's certainly a fun possibility there. Yoshihashi beat Chris Brooks. Chris Brooks, who's a very tall but skinny kind of cruiserweight build to him. There's some skullduggery from his CCK teammate who's out there at ringside early on in the match. But Yoshihashi wins with karma. You know my feelings on Yoshihashi. This was a yawner, but it was interesting to see Chris Brooks do some work in there. Will Ospreay versus Yoshinobu Kanemaru. If you saw these two in the Best of the Super Juniors, this was very similar to their match. Ospreay counters the whiskey spit. He kicks the whiskey out of his mouth after covering his mouth. Yoshinobu Kanemaru counters an Os Cutter. Will Ospreay wins with the Stormbreaker after kicking out of Yoshinobu Kanemaru's finisher, the Deep Impact. So a good match, but again, very similar to what these two did in the Best of the Super Juniors. And of course, Ospreay getting a victory on his home turf. That's basically what this was for. So then the big main event, this one's worth checking out for sure. Zack Sabre Jr. and Minoru Suzuki defending their undisputed British Tag Team Championships versus Ishii and Okada. Interesting here that we have new versions of music, both for Minoru Suzuki. Suzuki just had his 30th anniversary celebration where he went to a 30-minute draw with Okada in the rain at an outdoor festival, a largely attended outdoor festival. What did Kevin Kelly said, like 20 or 30,000, something like a huge number of people attended this outdoor event in the rain for Suzuki's 30th anniversary. But we have a new version of Kaze ni Nare. If you're a fan of the song Kaze ni Nare, I can't recommend a podcast enough that just did a podcast talking about that song. Music of the Mat. You can find it on the Voices of Wrestling podcast network, and I believe they have their own feed as well. If you just look up Music of the Mat, I think you can find that there. Yeah, a couple episodes ago, sometime in mid-June, they released an episode where they talk about the entire history of Kaze ni Nare going back to the late 80s. So now but what it doesn't cover is this new version. So I kind of wish they would do an update with the new version of Kaze ni Nare, but which I haven't even, because of the Rev Pro production quality, it was really kind of hard to hear, but you could tell that it was different. So, but I recommend you go back and listen to that podcast that talks about the history of Kaze ni Nare. And, check out the new version of Kaze ni Nare here. And then also Okada with a bit of a remix on his music as well. I'm looking forward to seeing, again, what that sounds like with better production quality. I haven't gone back onto YouTube to see if either of these songs have been posted yet. I'm sure they have. I forgot about it until just now, actually. But I'm curious to see what it sounds like at the G1 special when Okada comes out with his music, what his demeanor is after suffering a couple of losses here this weekend. So good exchanges between Zack Sabre and Okada. After the Rainmaker pose in the match, a strike exchange between Ishii and Suzuki. Both end up falling down, but then Suzuki gets a tag, but Ishii does not. So Zack Sabre Jr. isolates Ishii in the ring while Suzuki keeps Okada away outside, and Zack Sabre Jr. makes Ishii submit in this match. So a big win for Zack Sabre and Minoru Suzuki here for the undisputed British Tag Team Championships. So then night 2 of the Strong Style Evolved UK shows. Opening match was Dan Duggan versus the Dominator Great O'Karn again. Again, O'Karn is working this very basic heel style, a slow plodding style. He's yanking on the ears, he's yanking on the nose. Again, it's not very interesting and it's not very entertaining, but I think that's the idea. He's a heel. You're not supposed to like him. You're supposed to be bored with him and not like what he's doing. So I think that's the angle he's working. I'm interested to see how he evolves the character, and if it gets more interesting the more he does, the more he works heel or whatever. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I should note here that both of these shows were very well attended. The second night was in Manchester. It was 3,000 plus people in the building. They added extra chairs. It was sold out, 2,500 or so for the first night in I forget the name of the town now. Something Keys. I apologize. I had to forget Milton Keys, I believe, was the name of the night one. So yeah, well attended shows here. But I mean, again, no 10,000 seat arena, but for Rev Pro, these are really good shows. And again, big New Japan stars on these shows, certainly helping. That was the idea, is that this was, quote, a New Japan show in conjunction with Rev Pro here. So well attended shows here. Let's see, that first match, of course, the Great O'Karn gets the win with the Argentinian backbreaker and the claw combination to get the win there. And then, he hits that and then gets the second rope leaping Mongolian chop again a Mongolian chop off the second rope for the win there. It's just, it's not interesting offense, and I'll probably end up, I kind of think it's fun right now just because, okay, it's Oka. It's, he was a young lion. It was all about fighting spirit and throwing guys around, and now he's this dastardly heel working this slow plodding kind of boring style doing fucking Mongolian chops and stuff. So I just think it's funny. Maybe it'll be more interesting. I'm hoping it gets more interesting as we go along, but I guess we'll see. Yuji Nagata took on Shota Umino night 2. Of course, Nagata gets the win with the Nagata lock. Nice late slap sequence between these two as per usual, hitting each other hard. But yeah, nothing to go out of your way here to see. Another 6-man match with the Suzuki Gun versus, Iizuka, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Desperado versus Gedo, Toru Yano, and Yoshihashi. Kanemaru gets the win with Deep Impact after some whiskey, skullduggery, of course. This is Suzuki Gun stuff. It's the typical stuff. Walter versus Yujiro. Walter, of course, gets the win here with a shotgun dropkick and a powerbomb after a big lariat for a near fall. Yujiro is poking the bear early in the match and ends up paying the price, of course, the crowd with the "you fucked up" chants for poking the bear that is Walter in that match. Again, it's basically a Walter squash and Yujiro here. Yujiro got some offense in the middle there. He did cut off Walter and get some heat there during the match, but this was all about Walter coming back and beating the snot out of Yujiro. Then a big upset. Tai Chi defeats Will Ospreay. Yes, Tai Chi defeats Will Ospreay. It was, of course, with a lot of the skullduggery. It's Suzuki Gun. It's Tai Chi, of course. He ends up pulling the ref into an Os cutter because Ospreay is going for the Os cutter, so he pulls the ref into it. Yoshinobu Kanemaru comes out with the whiskey. Ospreay avoids the whiskey just like he did the night before and kicks Kanemaru in the face and forces Kanemaru to spit the whiskey out. Then he takes out Kanemaru, but then it was Tai Chi hitting the last ride powerbomb after hitting the mic stand and the low blow on Ospreay. So the skullduggery victory for the heavyweight Tai Chi over the junior heavyweight Will Ospreay. It was fine. It was what you would expect. It was a bullshit victory for the heel. David Starr versus Taiji Ishimori versus El Phantasmo versus Tiger Mask. El Phantasmo is a white guy. I don't know if he's from the UK. I don't know if he's a white guy from Mexico. Maybe I should do my research, but he's very good. He's walking the tight ropes, doing moonsaults to the floor. He looks fantastic. He hits a swanton and a best moonsault ever, but David Starr comes in and tries to steal away the pin. David Starr does end up getting the win with a low blow over Ishimori. He pulls the mask off a Tiger Mask and then rolls him up for the victory. He hits Ishimori with a low blow, taking him out, then pins Tiger Mask after pulling Tiger Mask's mask off. So Tiger Mask is furiously trying to cover his face up as David Starr is pinning him. And so David Starr retains the undisputed British Cruiserweight Heavyweight Championship. Then this was the sleeper match of the show. Jay White versus Kyle Fletcher, the guy I talked about from Aussie Open from the night before, had a really good match here. Switchblade does get the win with the Switchblade after Fletcher slips on the top rope. It genuinely looked like he was going for a move and slipped, and they decided that was a perfect moment to go for the finish because they went to the finish right after that. And it told such a great story too, because this Kyle Fletcher, he looks really good, gets some good near falls. He's a tall and kind of skinny high flyer, but he's like 19 years old or something like that. So he's got so much time to put on to grow into his body and to just get so much better. And had a hell of a match here. Great chop battle in the match. Fletcher's chest is bleeding because of so many chops, but shows great fighting spirit in the match. Jay White, of course, like I said, getting the win here, but a good match, and I'm one that I'm hoping they put up on NJPWWorld.com just so that guy Fletcher can get some exposure, because that was a good match. Then Okada versus Zack Sabre Jr. in the singles match. Like I was saying earlier, Zack Sabre getting the win with a leverage pin. Now, it wasn't him submitting Okada. It wasn't, it was almost fluky how he got he does that thing where he ties guys all up and gets that leverage pin. He's got wins with that leverage style pin before, and he kind of catches, he actually goes for that leverage pin, that same one earlier in the match, but Okada ends up escaping it, kicking out. But at the end of the match, he could not escape and does not kick out, and Zack Sabre gets the win. Of course, Sabre dominates the early grappling in the match, but Okada comes back with his power. Very similar story to their IWGP Championship match from a couple of months ago after Zack Sabre won the New Japan Cup. Zack Sabre has unique counters to Okada's signature offense. Again, Okada's going for his signature moves, and Zack Sabre counters it. He goes for the drop kick, Sabre catches him. He goes for the Rainmaker, Sabre's got a counter for it. Okada hits a Rainmaker, he counters that, I'm sorry, late in the match, Okada hits a Rainmaker, but he can't cover because Zack Sabre's been working on that arm the whole match, so when he hits the Rainmaker, it hurts Okada's arm, so he's just down selling the arm. Hits two tombstone pile drivers. One is that damn spinning tombstone pile driver on Zack Sabre. Zack Sabre counters two more Rainmakers before hitting that leverage pin in the finish there. So really good ending, really good match, and Zack Sabre getting somewhat of an upset here, but getting a huge push again going into the G1. And just like I was saying earlier, where it was a possible teaser for what could be the G1 finals. Again, Okada and Sabre being in opposite blocks. This could be a preview this could be a potential preview for a G1 finals with Zack Sabre getting the huge push. I could see him coming out of that B block and looking more dominant, and Okada getting out of the A block, and these two meeting in the G1 finals again. So certainly a possibility there. Then the big main event. Minoru Suzuki versus Tomohiro Ishii. They've been building this up in tag matches over the past several months here, over the past couple of months anyway. Done a really good job building anticipation to want to see these two finally meet one-on-one in the ring. We get it. We get it here. Very exciting, good stuff. Again, possibility of these two meeting in the G1 finals, but probably not, with Suzuki being an A block guy and Ishii being a B block guy, but probably not likely. But you never know. I mean, I really don't see them putting Ishii or Suzuki in that main event Tokyo Dome spot. Yes, they have to defend the briefcase along the way, and they could have the briefcase winner lose it at some point. They've never done that before, so that would be unprecedented. That would be some Russo type stuff.
My botch.
And they don't typically book that way in Japan, but anything's possible. But potential G1 finals here anyway. So yeah, Suzuki defeating Ishii for the championship here. I did not expect that. Ishii just won the championship from Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre was going on the tour of losing his championships. He lost his Evolve championship and his Rev Pro championship because he signed a full-time New Japan deal. But it's funny because now they're giving the Rev Pro heavyweight championship to New Japan guys. So it goes from Zack Sabre to Ishii to Suzuki. So at least it's going around between credible people. But it is interesting that Rev Pro is putting their top championship on New Japan guys. But when the best guys you book are the New Japan guys, well, I guess that's what you got to do. So I wonder what the story is here. Is Zack Sabre going to get this championship back at some point? Who's Suzuki going to lose that championship to? So Suzuki's going into the G1 with this undisputed British heavyweight championship, and they're both going into the G1 with the tag team championships, looking dominant as ever. This match was very, very good. A chop battle right off the bat. Suzuki, of course, takes it outside, does the chair stuff, works on the arm. That's how he cuts off Ishii, by working the arm and doing the chair stuff outside the ring. They do a very slow back and forth strike battle in the middle of the match that kind of took it down for me, but they really pick it up towards the end. Ishii hits two big lariats for near falls. Suzuki counters Ishii's brainbuster, and then Suzuki gets the win with the Gotch pile driver, winning the championship. Again, this is going to be on NJPW World at some point. Check it out. Hell of a match. And the story of the weekend, Kevin Kelly talked about this on commentary, is that Suzuki Gun swept Chaos. With Suzuki winning against Ishii, Zack Sabre beating Okada, and them retaining the titles the night before. And then even in the undercard matches, with Suzuki Gun facing off with Chaos, they won those undercard matches in the six-man tags on both nights with the Skullduggery. So that was the story of the weekend, was Suzuki Gun and its dominance with the Skullduggery in some cases, but not so much in the Ishii loss and the Okada loss there. So interesting stuff going into the G1 with Ishii losing momentum, Suzuki gaining, and Okada continuing on the losing the big matches. And what does this say for Zack Sabre going into the G1? And how much say does Geto have over the Rev Pro booking here as well? I'm sure he has some input, but yeah, interesting stuff there. All right, before we move on to Ring of Honor, we got to talk this CEO X NJPW show. Before this show, I had never heard of the CEO Fighting Game Championship. So props to Kenny Omega for getting more exposure to this gaming convention than had ever been heard before. I'm not a game guy. I'm not a fighting game guy. I'm not a gamer at all. So, but he's definitely spreading the word and exposing more people to what this is. So speaking of the production value and things of that nature right off the bat, this was a better production value than the Rev Pro show. So props to them on that. Was it as good as NJPWWorld.com or Ring of Honor? Certainly not. There was different cameras looked different. The white balance was all off. The audio was much better than Rev Pro, but slightly off in places. But nevertheless, for a production team and for announcers that have never announced a pro wrestling show and production team that have never photographed and shot pro wrestling before. I thought they did a tremendous job for this being the first time. This show was not without its delays, though. It was like well over an hour of watching Now, I did not watch this live, so if you watched this live, oofta, because I can't imagine, because there were a lot of early delays. There was a couple of random intermissions in this thing that was like, why are we taking 10 minutes here in the middle of this thing? It's already kind of run long. I do not recommend this show. The main event was very good. I recommend that's on YouTube even, so you can go to watch that on YouTube. You can watch this on the Twitch channel, the CEO Fighting Game Championship Twitch channel. It's there for free as well, so either way, you can check this out over there. Now, let's address the controversy right off the bat. Right off the bat, as I'm 45 minutes into the show here. Again, I'm a fan. This is a fan-hosted podcast. I don't like to talk about stuff that I don't like, or stuff that, I like to keep this positive, because that's what I'm here for. I'm doing this for fun. I'm doing this because I like pro wrestling. And so occasionally things like this come up and I got to talk about it. I got to talk about Michael Elgin. I got to talk about Jay Lethal in a little bit here. And now I got to talk about this opening match situation and Kenny Omega taking all kinds of heat on the internet, especially Twitter. So in the opening dark match, it was Chasen Rance taking on another local indie guy, basically. And the only reason these guys were booked on the show is because they were part of the ring crew. Kenny Omega has since apologized, because this guy is a convicted sex offender. He's on the a convicted pedophile on the sex offender, what is it called? He's on the sex offender list or whatever. So basically, this guy shouldn't have been booked. He's a noted piece of crap. He shouldn't have been on the show. Kenny Omega apologized. He offered refunds to anybody who wanted them. And to me, that was enough. I thought Kenny Omega owned not knowing about it, being ignorant to the fact that this guy was on the show. And so he apologized, and I accepted the apology. But a lot of trolls on Twitter did not accept the apology. Kenny Omega took a lot of heat. Some other reporters took a lot of heat for their stance on this thing. Look, Kenny Omega, I accept the apology. I mean, how the hell is he supposed to know? I mean, yeah, he could have done a better job. He could have checked the background. He could have asked some people about it. But I think he was just a situation where the ring crew wants to do a match do a dark match that wasn't even supposed to be part of the main show, which it technically was not. It's not Kenny Omega's fault that this guy slipped through the cracks and got onto this show. Certainly Kenny Omega could have done a better job. There's a lot of people that could have done a better job. It's not just Kenny Omega in charge of this show. But how about directing your anger at the guy that was guilty of the crime? Don't go to his wrestling school. Don't be on his ring crew. Don't patronize his business. Direct your anger on Twitter towards this guy. Because Kenny Omega accidentally let this guy on his show doesn't mean that Kenny Omega is a pedophile supporter or a pedophile himself. Far from it. Kenny Omega is widely known as a great, nice man. This Twitter outrage is ridiculous, and this is another reason why I tend not to spend a lot of time talking about Twitter outrage, because most of the time Twitter outrage comes from trolls that are looking to get a rise out of somebody, looking to get one over on you, looking to get a response from you. And so for me to even kind of go off on it seems ridiculous. I feel like smart people that pay attention know that this is a situation that is certainly regrettable, but not something that it's an understandable oversight, I think, on a part, like on on behalf of Kenny Omega, the CEO people, and the people behind the entire production. So going forward, it's who knows? Is Omega even going to want to do another one of these with all the heat coming out of this? I don't know. So that was on the undercard, or not the undercard, the dark match stuff, but technically it's on the Twitch channel. Also on the dark match side of things, there's the Michael Nakazawa, who's like a DDT guy and a really good friend of Kenny Omega. He took on the guy that's in charge of the CEO Gaming Championship, Alex Jabali. and they did a whole gimmick with baby oil and ridiculousness, and it was kind of an insult to actual pro wrestling. If you're an actual pro wrestling fan, a little bit. If you're a little more open minded and don't care, it was just kind of a fun, silly thing to do on the dark match side of things. So me not realizing there was this dark match stuff on there, I ended up watching this crap, and then an hour and 50 minutes into the stream or into the video that you can watch on Twitch is when you get to the actual undercard or the actual real card for the CEO X NJPW show. I'm not really going to talk about the undercard stuff. It was all really basic stuff. Liger beat Romero. Gorillas of Destiny beat Juice and David Finlay. Jeff Cobb and Chase Owens had a pretty good match. And Cobb, of course, got the win there. They had another time delay intermission in the middle of the show right there. Taguchi and Dragon Lee beat Roppongi 3K in a bit of an upset. Taguchi getting the win with a leverage pin over one of the Roppongi guys. That was a fun match. And then the main event, the Golden Lovers versus Naito and Hiromu Takahashi. This was a good match. This one is worth taking a look at. And again, this one's free on YouTube and free on the Twitch thing, but it's easier to find just this match on YouTube. So check that out there. The Golden Lovers, of course, getting the win with the Golden Trigger over Hiromu. Kota Ibushi ends up taking a really ugly sunset bomb from Hiromu in the match. They do hit a perfect looking cross slash in the match as well. So check that out for sure, that main event. Anyway, the undercard, like I said, basic stuff, and lay off of Omega and put some more heat on the guy that's actually guilty of the crime. Will you, Internet? Please. So, speaking of controversy, let's talk some Ring of Honor. So it was a very newsworthy weekend when it came to Ring of Honor. We had Best in the World on Friday, the TV tapings on Saturday with a lot of news, some big news coming out of that. So spoiler alert, we're going to talk about all of that. So Friday night, Dalton Castle defending the championship versus Cody and Marty Scurll. Everybody was predicting that Dalton would lose the championship to one of those two. That did not happen. Saturday at the TV tapings, he did lose in a 4-way match to Jay Lethal. Unexpected stuff here. I do like what Ring of Honor did here. They and I don't know. I don't remember if it was live or not, but they certainly posted the match from the TV tapings on Honor Club for Honor Club subscribers, which I think again is very smart. It adds value to that Honor Club membership. It gives you early access to something that you're going to be able to see on TV and something that is very newsworthy as well. I think Ring of Honor should do this for big TV matches going forward, because it's going to add value to that Honor Club deal, because you're going to get to see something taped for television weeks in advance, and you're going to get to see something that's newsworthy in a timely fashion. So putting a match up live as it's being taped for TV, that's a big match, even if it isn't a title change, I think is something that they should do going forward, because since they did the big title change here, they did the TV title change a couple of weeks ago, going from Silas Young to Punishment Martinez with the television championship on an Honor Club show, and then putting this TV match up on right away on Honor Club. I think is important, is smart. It adds value to that. So kudos to Ring of Honor for not only making those house shows now on Honor Club feel and seem more important, but for putting key matches that are taped for TV on there. So now you get the extra value as an Honor Club member, that you get to see those in advance of the television audience that just watches for free. So I think that's very, very good stuff there, and makes Honor Club interesting going forward. So before we talk about what happened on Best in the World, let's talk about the Jay Lethal side of things here. Had a really good match with Kushida. I thought it was a 4-star match. Lethal winning with the lethal injection. Very predictable stuff there. Kushida works a little bit of heel in the match. He refuses the code of honor at the beginning of the match, hits a cartwheel dropkick and 3 big dives, and disrespects Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal works the leg. Kushida works the arm after catching Lethal's 3rd big dive, does a top rope elbow into an armbar, then into a figure 4. Great late finisher counters, and then Lethal winning with the lethal injection. Again, I thought it was a good match. I thought Jay Lethal was a good candidate to win the Ring of Honor Championship going into this show. Then today, I'm recording this on Wednesday, July 4th, some stuff came out on Twitter that I did not expect. Now again, it's Twitter. It's someone that was formerly with the company Taylor Hendricks talking about Jay Lethal and Truth Martini. So somebody tweeted at Taylor, "I miss the House of Truth." She replies, "I don't. It should have been the House of Hendricks," referring to herself. What has Truth or Jay done? What do they draw? Being a funny guy with a book? The other one only talks about his time in Impact copying legends? For real, bro. The legacy is copying legends. And then somebody else replied, or no, the same guy replies, somebody else replies saying, "Oh, Jay Lethal's a champion. He's won all these accolades, fake championships," basically responding to her. And then she responds, and this is the newsworthy one in my opinion. Also, so this guy's standing up for Jay Lethal or whatever. And she replies, "Also, the dude you're standing up for is the same dude that told me because I didn't sleep with him, they sabotaged me and took me off TV. That being the almighty Jay." So she is saying that Jay Lethal told her, we're taking you off TV and not pushing you because you won't sleep with me. So, again, I don't know Taylor Hendricks personally. I don't know Jay Lethal personally. Could this be Taylor bitter about a bitter breakup? Could this be Taylor bitter about leaving Ring of Honor unceremoniously? I don't know. Could this be Jay Lethal just being an asshole? I think that's a bigger possibility. I don't put this. I believe Taylor is bitter. She comes off as bitter in her tweets about being pulled off of TV and being de-escalated or whatever. So I believe that she is bitter about that. But again, she's just replying to tweets. She's not throwing this out there as a hashtag Me Too thing or anything like that. She's saying they pushed me because I wouldn't fuck him. So that's interesting, and that really paints Jay Lethal in a very ugly light for me. Now, this again goes back to the same thing that at the Strong Style, not the Strong Style Evolved, the CEO show, the guy at the beginning of that show, the Michael Elgin situation. There's a lot of shitheads, a lot of assholes, a lot of male-dominated power things that go on in pro wrestling, and it's not new, and it's been going on for years. And that's a lot of the talk right now is that's the narrative. This is pro wrestling. If you're going to watch pro wrestling, this is what you're going to expect. And I understand what you're saying there. But it's also 2018, and we don't have to sit here and take it. We, as fans, have a voice. I have a podcast. This is my voice. And I understand the history of pro wrestling, and I accept it. That was fine, and it was never fine, but that's what happened before. But now going forward, we have an opportunity to get our voice out there. We have podcasts. We have social media. So go ahead. Let's get upset at Jay Lethal. Let's get upset at this guy that got booked at the beginning of the CEO show. Not the guy that booked him, but the guy that committed the crime. Let's get upset at the people that are perpetuating this or continuing this culture in wrestling. I'm upset at Jay Lethal because I was a fan of his. I wanted to see him at the top of Ring of Honor. I wanted to see a good story. And I was happy on Saturday when I heard that he won the championship. And now I'm upset at this news because it's like, God damn it. So you're going to be the same. You're going to be this kind of asshole and not take advantage of a talent, somebody that's talented on TV. Now, again, Jay Lethal has long moved away from the House of Truth stuff. And if I go back in my memory, remembering what Taylor Hendricks was doing on Ring of Honor TV at the time wasn't exactly blowing the doors off of stuff either. So if all of this is bullshit and Taylor Hendricks just stopped getting pushed because she wasn't that interesting or creating numbers herself, that's certainly a possibility too. But again, I tend to believe what Taylor is putting out there. So I'm going to keep my ear to the situation. And try to gauge what the credibility is on both sides. But again, this is really ugly for Jay Lethal. I don't like and this puts a bad taste in my mouth of the new Jay Lethal championship reign, and it's very unfortunate because the Dalton Castle thing wasn't working. It's not time for Marty Scurll. Cody we've already done, and they're not doing that right now, and it didn't feel like the time to go back to Cody, to be honest. And I thought it was a smart move at the time, and this just taints the whole goddamn thing and leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And I'm curious to hear what other fans feel about it, because I'm upset. I'm upset at Jay Lethal. So, yeah, get at me on Twitter, at Strong Honor, at Tommy Stryker. Join this conversation. Tell me how you feel, and let's get a narrative. Let's get a conversation going about this. And if I'm wrong, tell me why. Tell me whatever. Let's talk about it, because I want to be more informed than just something that's out there on Twitter. Just Taylor Hendricks replying to somebody. If you're listening and you want to come on and tell the story, let's do that. Jay Lethal, you want to come on and tell your side of the story? Let's do that. That's just going to help my podcast out. So that could be a possibility as well. We'll see. I'm not holding my breath or crossing my fingers on that front. So overall, going back to best in the world now, I thought it was a good pay-per-view. I thought it was worth watching, worth the $35 if you were going to pay that, worth your Honor Club membership, certainly there. I mean, the Honor Club membership, if you're going to order all the Ring of Honor pay-per-views, $120 a year for all the pay-per-views and all the Honor Club stuff, tremendous value if you're a Ring of Honor fan. So, again, some unexpected stuff on the pay-per-view itself with Dalton Castle retaining here, but I thought a good match in altogether there with a surprising victory there. You had the Briscoes retaining the tag team championships in a very good match. Again, last week we were talking about the Bullet Club possibly coming out of this with all of the gold except for Cody, and basically the opposite of that. None of the Bullet Club got new gold. The Young Bucks didn't get gold. Hangman Page did not get gold in a good street fight match there. Austin Aries defeating Kenny King with a brainbuster. Pretty good Kenny King promo going into that match. Kenny King with some leg sweeps and Cobra Kai style gear. Fun stuff all around there. Flip Gordon versus Bully Ray was I thought told a perfect story, and I'm kind of all over the place here because I kind of watched the pay-per-view a little out of order, and I really at this point, almost a week later, it's already been analyzed, so I'm just kind of throwing my thoughts out there overall on the pay-per-view. But I loved the story that Flip Gordon and Bully Ray told. This was the moment where Flip finally got his hands on Bully Ray in a one-on-one situation, and Flip Gordon dominated. He beat him up. He made Bully look like a bitch, and then Bully Ray got desperate and low-blowed Flip Gordon, and so the saga continues. The Bully Ray beats him down after the match. Guys come running out to try to make the save. Cheeseburger and Eli Isom, who was running out, but then it was Colt Cabana who has been talking smack on commentary the entire time. So I like this story because Colt is a wrestler himself, and he's been on commentary for this entire saga. And he's like, Bully, go home. Oh, you're so full of shit. This, you don't belong here if that's your attitude. So he's been talking a big game on commentary, and he had finally had enough and went and stood up to Bully. And so with the baby faces outnumbering Bully, of course, the heel runs away. So I like that story there. So I still think the story is about Flip getting a clean, satisfying victory over Bully at some point. Because of the DQ finish there, I see them coming back to this. Whether it's on TV or at the next pay-per-view in September, who knows? But I believe we're coming back to this. Could you continue to build to Bully and Colt Cabana? I think you could. I think there's not the same level of interest there, but who knows? I think Colt is a great babyface coming off of his victory in court last month. I think it's a good story to tell, along with what he's been doing on commentary with the Bully Ray situation. I think the fans will be behind him as well. But I think we're still in the Flip Gordon business here. I think we still need to see the clean win for Flip Gordon with the satisfying victory. We had him get the satisfying beatdown, the revenge beatdown on Bully Ray here, but we got more heat back on Bully Ray, so we're coming back to this match, I think. The Kingdom retained against LIJ, Evil Bushi, and Sonata. Normal stuff there. I thought the women's 8-man match was pretty good here with the Kelly Klein stuff. Set that aside. I thought Mayu Iwatani looked great. She gets the win with the bridging German over Hana Kimura, who is young but looks very promising. Kagetsu, who is the champ of Stardom, looks great in the match. She accidentally hits one of her teammates in the match. But again, I thought the story of this 8-woman tag was the Stardom women. They looked great in the match. Tennille was in there as well. She looked decent for what it was, but I thought the Stardom women got over huge here. So it was kind of the story that I was talking about in my predictions last week. I was looking for the Stardom girls to stand out and look good. So now I want to see more of them. I want to see one of them challenge Sumi Sakai for the championship because, again, Sakai just isn't doing anything. I kind of mentioned the Austin Aries thing, getting the win over Kenny King. It is strange here that Austin Aries is just getting singles victories over a guy like Kenny King, all of a sudden out of the championship picture with the TV title situation. But now with him getting that victory over Kenny King, I wonder if they work on getting him back into the TV title situation with what's going on with Punishment Martinez, which seems a bit out of character, being that he's still kind of got the thing going on with Adam Page. Although Martinez did get the win here with the choke slam through the table over Adam Page, so he did retain the championship. Silas was out on commentary for this the Martinez and Adam Page match. There were attacks involved. Punishment Martinez zip ties the wrists of Adam Page. Does a pump kick off the apron into a structure of chairs. Adam Page does a suplex off the guardrail. A nice cradle pile driver onto a chair for a near fall. So they pull out all the stops. They got the chairs and the tacks and all the stuff. But yeah, Punishment Martinez basically getting the clean win there. So is it go back to Silas Young now? And what is Austin Aries' role? I've got questions here. Is Austin Aries done with Ring of Honor at this point? They're given going back to Ring of Honor TV this week, which again was taped weeks ago. Kenny King's getting the push in Ring of Honor, of course. Again, taped weeks before Best in the World. So what do you do there? Kenny King is, again, he's a guy. He's good, and he grows on me a little bit every week, but he does stuff where he's supposed to be a baby face, but he plays to the crowd at odd moments that feels almost heelish or something. I'm not quite there with Kenny King. So I'd like to see Austin Aries in a more prominent role towards the main event. I mean, now that you got this controversy with Jay Lethal, Austin Aries is a guy that you could elevate to the main event, I think, really quickly with a couple of key wins and him cutting promos. Austin Aries cutting promos is money. And look, he's the Impact champion right now, so he's at that main event level, and he's a guy that can work a really good main event match. So I think Austin Aries is a guy that could possibly be elevated to that level for Ring of Honor. Again, we talked about the Briscoes and the Young Bucks a little bit already. It was a good match. The Briscoes end up retaining with the top rope super redneck boogie. Nick Jackson does his hot tag signature spots on the floor this time. Great springboard cutter out of a doomsday attempt by the Bucks. Really good stuff there. Mark Briscoe hits a big top elbow to the ref after the Bucks hit more bang more bang for your buck. The Briscoes break up a Meltzer driver, a slow count. Then with the referee down, they hit a J driller on a chair for a near fall. That really fires up the crowd. After the Briscoes getting the win after the skullduggery there with the ref bump and all of that. After SCU do a run in and attack the Briscoes and appear to be kind of cool with the Young Bucks. So that's kind of the story there is SCU doing the big run in there and attacking the Briscoes. So SCU appear to be going after the championships again, but also being cool with the Young Bucks. Is that going to move SCU over to the over to the good guys side of things? Interesting stuff there. All right, now talking Ring of Honor TV this week. The big main event was Matt Taven versus Ultimo Guerrero. A good TV match, hot crowd. The crowd was really into Ultimo Guerrero. Matt Taven has a great amount of heat. He's a great heel, but he's a guy who's growing slowly on a lot of fans. He's definitely grown slowly on me. He's grown slowly on Joe and Taco, and he's growing slowly on the fans. I'm seeing it more and more. And I think it's really cool. We're slowly establishing a main event guy here. So in this match, we got the skullduggery at ringside. Skullduggery. From TKO. The Ultimo Guerrero throws Taven into the crowd. It goes for a big top rope elbow from the top rope to the floor outside. And then Taven does a big running drop kick and takes him out. Then Guerrero does a big running lariat onto both of those guys, TKO and Taven in a chair outside. So lots of cool stuff to fire up the crowd here. But it was Taven getting the win with Climax. Over after Vinny Marseglia came out from under the ring. He released his red balloons on one side that distracted Ultimo Guerrero, who was setting up for a big top rope move, and then Marseglia came out from the other side and popped a balloon behind Guerrero that caused Guerrero to get disoriented, fall off the top rope, and then Taven came in and hit his finisher, Climax. After hitting just the tip, the knee strike, the Shining Wizard earlier in the match. So Taven with the funny moves for his name, or names for his moves, and stuff like that, slowly getting Taven over. Again, I was talking about the Kenny King push. He defeated Jonathan Gresham in a good TV match here. King takes a nasty Spike Rana right before the finish and then gets the win with the Royal Flush. They did a fun rolling cradle spot where they both are rolling each other over in a cradle, getting 1 and 2 counts. So yeah, good TV match between those two. I like Jonathan Gresham. Again, it feels like the slow build for him too. We might be a half, 6 months to a year away from him challenging for a TV title shot and maybe moving up to a big thing in the main event, possibly, if he continues to get over with the crowd here. But Kenny King, he's getting the push. Again, not feeling it too much, but again, he feels like he's at the right spot of the card, opening up a TV match here and losing to Austin Aries, losing the TV championship. Feels appropriate for him right now. Then we had a teaser for a 6-man tag team gauntlet match that's going to happen in 2 weeks on Ring of Honor TV, going to determine the next number 1 contender for the Kingdom's 6-man championships. Then it was Facade versus Josh the Woods Goods. This was all about the ongoing saga between Shane Taylor and Josh the Goods Woods. But this match was all about Facade looking very impressive with his aerial offense. He does a tightrope. He does a double springboard in the match. Josh Woods does get the win with the unique Fireman's Slam. Shane Taylor is out there on commentary. Shane Taylor got a key, I think did he beat Woods? They had the ongoing storyline over Honor Club. Or no, Shane Taylor beat Woods on TV a couple of weeks back, and they had the match on Honor Club a month or so ago, where Josh Woods got the victory, I believe. He had the distraction out there with King Mo and all that. They talked about all of this on the TV show as well. So this is an ongoing saga. So Josh Woods calls out Shane Taylor after the match and said, "Yeah, you knocked me out before with your one punch, and there's something going on there," he says. So almost alluding to, what are you loading up your fist? Were you loading something up in there? What are you doing? So Shane Taylor accepts the challenge, but not tonight. We're going to do it when Ring of Honor signs the match and I get paid for it. So that'll be coming up soonish rather than laterish. Then the Dogs, Rhett Titus and Little Willie Will Ferrara, attempt to recruit Shane Taylor into their team to team up with them to go for the 6-man gauntlet match. Shane Taylor is upset that they did not knock on the door, and he disrespectfully declines their request. We had a nice video package on the Bully Ray cheeseburger saga that all plays into what's going on as well with Flip Gordon. So we get the video package, and we're going to have Cheeseburger challenging Bully Ray to a no disqualification match on next week's Ring of Honor TV. So it's interesting because, again, this was taped weeks before the match with Flip. So I wonder if we're going to get some sort of angle with Flip again in this match that was taped before Best in the World, but more angles being released after Best in the World. Of course, with what happened at Best in the World, they're certainly going to continue the Flip and Bully storyline here. So we'll look for that next week in the no DQ match. So that was Ring of Honor TV. And I did want to touch on Being the Elite. Of course, we talked about the Cody stuff earlier, but there was some fun other stuff on Being the Elite this week as well. Jericho and the Young Bucks tease becoming a 6-man team on the Chris Jericho cruise, and Jericho recruits the Young Bucks into the Alpha Club. He gives them Alpha Club t-shirts and pins in cheap plug segment, basically. But Marty Scurll is secretly spying on all of this and scowling. He's looking upset that the Bucks are becoming part of the Alpha Club. So we'll look for stuff going forward with that. This entire episode was basically about the Joey Ryan, the famous Dick wrestler, Joey Ryan's memorial. This was a great episode in regards to that. Early in the episode, Joey Ryan's hot wife thinks that Adam Page looks like Stephen Amell, who is again in custody in custody in Japan for being accused of murdering Joey Ryan, famous Dick wrestler Joey Ryan. And so later the news comes out on the episode that there is not sufficient evidence to keep Stephen Amell, so he gets released. So Christopher Daniels sees this news, and he's upset by it because, again, Christopher Daniels was the one feeding the information to the authorities that it was Stephen Amell. So he's upset. And then also Matt Jackson sees this news and confronts Hangman Page. Hangman Page ends up choking Matt Jackson. And so because of that, Matt Jackson decides not to invite Hangman Page to the memorial service for Joey Ryan, as well as, I should note, earlier in the episode, Joey Ryan's hot wife said that she could not make it to the memorial service, so she was not in attendance as well. So the memorial itself was filled with wonderful speeches. Cody cuts a wonderful promo on famous Dick wrestler Joey Ryan. SCU is there, and It's the typical, Scorpio Sky is like, this is the worst funeral I've ever been to. Kazarian starts cutting a promo on what are funerals anyway. You got the jobber in the coffin, da-da-da-da-da. He takes off his somber sunglasses. He gets thrown his aviators. He's cutting a promo. But then Hangman Page comes in late in the memorial, and he cuts like this dramatic thing saying that we all know Joey Ryan was a penis pretender, but seriously, he made me believe. He made me the penis, the famous dick wrestler that I am today. Just a phenomenal version of Being the Elite. I can't do it justice talking about that. If you don't regularly watch Being the Elite, but you kind of know what's going on from all sides, it's a tremendous episode of Being the Elite with the way they've built up to this memorial and all of the stuff that happens during it. But I wonder how it holds up for people that don't follow Being the Elite, because there's a lot of things, a lot of callbacks to other storylines that are going on in this memorial segment that are just really phenomenally done. So they have the big speech or whatever by Hangman Page. He leaves. He's in the hallway, and a mystery person comes up and grabs Hangman Page by the shoulder and says, "I know you didn't kill famous dick wrestler Joey Ryan, because I did." And it's a big mystery because we don't see who the person is. And then it looks like we're going to the closing credits. You're getting ready to shut off the show, but then it cuts back to the Young Bucks driving in the car. And Nick Jackson asks the question, there's never been a body of Joey Ryan. We don't know if there's a possibility that this guy is still alive. The Japanese police just assume he's dead because there was all the blood and the body is missing. So now the question has arisen, is Joey Ryan even dead? So we continue to build to the possibility of Joey Ryan and Hangman Page at All In, which I really hope is where this whole thing culminates, because that would be a lot of fun. So yeah, check out Being the Elite this week. Phenomenal stuff. I can't believe I did this long of a podcast solo by myself. Trust me, there's a lot of editing involved, and hopefully I got out all of the awkward pauses. But let's get out of here with the Kojima tweet.
Now it's time for the Satoshi Kojima Tweet of the Week.
Follow Kojima on Twitter at cozy_lariat, talking about all kinds of bread stuff, the Bread Club, talking baby. In one of his previous tweets, he asks people to retweet it, and a bunch of people end up retweeting it. Talking about bread, talking about the fabulous bakers of the world. Let's do justice to them. So in this tweet, he's kind of referencing that tweet. If the previous retweet exceeds 1,000, I'll eat 100 breads. Sorry, it's a joke. I believe wrestling fans also like jokes. Wrestler, bread, and joke are friends, baby. So make sure you check out Kojima on Twitter, recovering from that knee injury. Hopefully he comes back. Hopefully he's back by World Tag League this year. Let's get Kojima back in that tag league come late this year. So, speaking of Twitter, follow the show at Strong Honor. Join the conversation, spread the word, let your friends know about it on Reddit, Twitter, Facebook.com/StrongHonorPodcast. You want to send me an email? Please do. StrongHonorPodcast@gmail.com. Check out my other podcast, The Best Pro Wrestling Podcast, BestProWrestlingPodcast.com, and over at SLTDWrestling.com. There's a new SLTD podcast network over there where you can find Strong Honor, Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. There's an Impact podcast, all kinds of great stuff going on over there at SLTDWrestling.com. That's it for me. That's it for Strong Honor. Rate, review, and subscribe. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye.
You gotta use a few tricks up your sleeve, if you know what I mean. A bit of the old skullduggery.
See you